Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Thought I would try something different and walk through my steps of deep frying a turkey since it is the holiday season. What you need to get going, obviously you need a turkey, a nice pot for you to deep fry the turkey in, preferably one with the lid and a thermometer so you can keep track of the temperature of the oil. I'm going to need the utensils here for being able to place the turkey into the oil and then taking it back out again. And then obviously the burner, something you're going to attach a propane tank to in this situation here. Get the fire going to keep that oil going. And then I use a cooler here to soak the turkey in so that it can get brined. Using simple ingredients for the brine, starting off with a dark brown sugar, kosher salt, some Worcestershire sauce, or however you pronounce that word there, and then the vegetable broth is the main source for the brine that I use. Very simple, but works great for the taste that I'm looking for. I like to start off with preparing the brine just so that it has time to go ahead and mix and get all the ingredients blended together well. And it also gives me time to let it cool off while I am prepping the turkey. So first I'm going to start off with a nice sized pot, get it on the stove with a high flame. And we're going to add all three. Sometimes I use 4 of these containers of the vegetable stock, just depending on what I can find at the store. This year I did a little bit smaller turkey, so only went with the 3 containers. But we're going to pour all 3 of those into the pot and get those up to a boil. And then we will mix in the other ingredients. All right, so enough time has passed now. We're starting to see the broth is steaming, so we're going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. Going to go ahead and put in about 1 cup of brown sugar. Again, this is a very simple brine, so not a whole lot to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put in brown sugar first. Dump that into the now very hot vegetable broth. And now that that's in the pot, give that a stir. Make sure that's all dissolved, ready to go. And now we're going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients as well. All right, next up is the kosher salt. I'm also going to put in about a cup of the kosher salt into the brine as well. You can do a little more, you can do a little less. I feel like this is the sweet spot as far as flavor for my family. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 1 cup of kosher salt into the brine. And the next up is the Worcestershire sauce, or however you pronounce that line. Doing a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce. Again, I already have the salt in there. Don't need to make it super salty, but still want to make sure it penetrates the turkey, gets it nice and flavorful, and also it helps to keep the turkey juicy and also very tender. So add all that into the pot, give it a good stir until everything is dissolved. And at this point, the brine is done. So once you get it all stirred up, everything in the pot is dissolved. Go ahead and take it off the fire, put it to the side, and now we can go ahead and start prepping the turkey. All right, so prepping the turkey is kind of going to be up to your personal preference as far as how much do you trim it, or do you do any of that at all? So just trying to get out of the bag here. The most important thing is you do want to make sure that you take out all of the stuff that the turkey comes with when it comes from the store. So pretty much all turkeys come with the drumsticks and everything tied together with that piece of plastic. So you obviously want to make sure you pull that thing off. Don't want any plastic in hot oil. Could definitely cause problems. All of the other stuff that's tucked inside, get all that stuff out as well. The biggest thing is you always want to make sure you look for and find that gizzard bag. This turkey was actually up at the top. It wasn't on the inside. It was where the head and neck should have been. So definitely want to pull that thing out. Also the temperature ready probe, pull that thing out. We're not going to need it for deep frying the turkey, but at this point, just rinse the turkey down, make sure you get all the good gunk out of there. There was that gizzard sac in the head. And it's something that I do that I have learned is you want to make sure you pull off any excess skin. So I'm going to cut a little bit of trim here, get those pieces off. Excess, if I could talk, skin that's around the neck, just because those bits tend to burn as you're frying the turkey. So just pull those off, keeps everything nice and clean, helps the turkey cook at a pretty even tone and time as well. But just rinsing the turkey down, making sure it's good to go, all the excess bits trimmed off, and then the turkey at this point would be ready to go. So this next step in the process is super important just to make sure that you don't have any accidents or overflows, that volcano reaction as you are deep frying a turkey. So something that I do with every single turkey that I deep fry, because obviously not every turkey is the same size, is I put it into the pot first and fill that pot up with water, making sure that the bird is completely submerged in water so that I know how much oil I then need to go ahead and put in the pot to deep fry the turkey that I am frying. This time this year, I usually do 2 a year, every Thanksgiving and then also for Christmas. So in this case, filling this one up here with water, want to make sure that the turkey is completely submerged. And then once that happens, then I'll be able to have an idea how much oil, rather, I'm going to be putting into the pot to fry this turkey. So completely submerged in water. And now the next step is to pull the bird out, making sure that every bit of water that is stuck in any crevice in the bird goes back into the pot. And then this is going to let you know how much oil you now need to go ahead and put into that pot. So going to pull up here, take a peek, couple different ways you can mark it. You can just, scratch an edge into the side of the pot, or I'm lucky here, seeing that that level is just below that caution hot symbol that is pressed into the pot. So now I know exactly how much oil I need to put into this pot to make sure that our bird is covered and ready to go. And now that I know that, it is time to put the turkey into the brine. So that mixture is now nice and cool. Going to throw that into my cooler here. And then of course we're going to throw in some water, because again, you want to make sure that your bird is completely submerged in the brine so that every surface is able to soak in that mixture of ingredients, giving it the flavor, giving it the tenderness, and make sure the bird comes out fantastic, because I do not season my turkey with any other seasoning. I 100% just let it soak in the brine, and that is all the seasoning that it gets. So popping it into the brine, shake it up there a little bit. Again, just want to make sure that all the air bubbles get out from inside of the cavity so that the brine again is touching every single surface of the bird. Going to top this off with more water, because again, just want to make sure it is completely submerged in the mixture so that every crevice, every surface is able to take advantage and get that flavor. And then I'm prepping this the night before. It's about 5 o'clock in the evening, the night before Thanksgiving. So that's going to sit in the brine overnight, probably for about 24 hours before I cook it. So you definitely want to throw some ice into the mixture, keep the bird nice and cold, so you don't have to worry about any bacteria or anything like that before you go ahead and deep fry your turkey. See you tomorrow. It is now about 9:30 the next morning. So you just want to take a peek, check the bird. As you can see, all the ice has melted overnight, which is fine. The mixture itself is still super cold to the touch, so no worries about any bacteria on the bird. But at this point, still probably got about another 4 or 5 hours of soak in front of me. So I'm going to flip that thing over, get the breast down, let that soak up some good concentration at the bottom. And then we'll be ready to fry this bird here in about another 6 hours or so. All right, so taking a quick look at our setup to actually fry the turkey. They have our burner set there, the propane tank that's connected to our smart disconnect, and then our 3 gallons of peanut oil, not peanut butter oil, but peanut oil. So that is what we're going to use to actually deep fry the turkey itself. All right, so there are a couple things that are super important when deep frying a turkey. One of the most important is once you take that bird out of the brine, you need to get it as dry as possible. As we know, water and oil do not mix. And that is usually what happens when you see those nightmare videos on the news or on YouTube showing folks who burnt down their patio or burnt down their house deep frying a turkey. So want to make sure that that does not happen here. So I pull my bird out of the brine before I start prepping the tank to actually get the oil in the oil pot ready. So batten it down with a bunch of paper towels, have it sitting on paper towels as well, have it sitting at room temperature. You want to make sure you're getting the inside, the outside, every inch of that bird. Try to get it as dry as possible so that we don't have to worry about any of the moisture from this bird affecting the oil and creating a volcano when we drop it in there to fry it. All right, so it is time to get the pot ready so we can deep fry our turkey. So gonna start off first with lighting the fire so we can get that up and running. Gonna put that pot in place with the thermometer sitting on the out hand side so we can get an idea, make sure that that oil is getting up to temperature before we go ahead and put the turkey in. We're looking for an ideal temperature about 350 to 375 to get that oil up to before we put in our bird. And that's just to make sure that we keep that oil at a good temperature to cook the bird. As you can see here, that 1 3-gallon container of peanut oil was not enough. So we're going to add a little bit more from another container that I had, actually the oil from the previous year. I tend to keep a little bit of last year's oil handy, just because, you know, old oil brings a little bit good flavors. So we're going to top that out to where we need to be, let it get up to temperature, and then we'll be able to add our bird. All right, so something that I wanted to show you guys is most of these kits that you buy for deep frying a turkey come with one of these electronic shutoffs. So you see the little green dot, it has a timer. So after every 10 or 15 minutes or so, that green light will start flashing and you need to press that red button. And that's what keeps the flame going. If you don't do that, your flame will shut off. And if you're not paying attention, then your oil gets really, really cold and your bird does not cook. So it's a really good safety feature built in. But as you can see, we're all set up. Oil is just under that line that we saw the water showed us it needed to be. So now we're just gonna wait for it to get up to temperature and we can add our bird. All right, so I wanted to add this clip in just because even though I've done this quite a few times, I am not perfect. I totally forgot that oil expands as it gets hot. So as you can see, it's a little bit higher than where we need it to be, and it's not even at temperature yet. So I am actually going to spoon off a little bit of this oil back out of there again, just for safety reasons. Want to make sure that the oil level is where it needs to be so I don't have to worry about any overflows, any messes, any fires. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that oil out to be prepared. But now, after doing so, got the bird ready to go. So now, again, we need to put the utensil inside to give us, you know, our grabbing point. This is what you're going to pick the turkey up by to put it into the oil, and then what you use to pull it out of the oil when it is done. This bird had a very small orifice opening at the top of the head, usually a lot bigger. But was able to get the utensil in. Want to make sure we don't damage too much of the outside of the turkey there. Again, giving it one last little pat down, make sure it's all dry. And then just want to give an idea of like how is it going to sit once I put it into the pot. I usually do fry my turkeys head down, I guess you would say, is how this is set up. But just want to give you a visual of what that's going to look like. So now oil is up to temperature. We are ready to go. It is time to drop the bird into the oil. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, that's hot. Yep, that's hot. It's been in oil. It's going to be hot. But luckily, I didn't burn my finger there trying to just wipe the excess oil off of the thermometer dipstick there. But one of the things is, as you can see, that green light is flashing on the tank, letting me know that the fire is getting ready to go out. But this is where it is definitely very important. This is a very pivotal point when you are prepping, getting ready to drop your bird into the fire, is you want to turn that thing off. I hit the button, I turned off that timer, so that actually shut off the flame. So what that does is, just in case I do have an overflow, I do not have an open flame for that oil to hit, and that is where a lot of the fires happen when people are deep frying their turkey. The overflow happens, that oil hits that open flame, and yeah, that is a fire. That is bad news all day long. So you definitely want to make sure you turn off that fire before dropping your bird in. Giving the bird, again, another last minute tapping, trying to get any level of excess moisture off. As you can see, better safe than sorry, super careful. And now we're going to drop the turkey, and this is where it's not a race. Take your time with dropping it in, and let's take a listen. All right, so dropping the turkey into the oil. Like I said, this is not a race. You can take your time. I actually find myself dropping it, picking it back up, dropping it a little bit, picking it back up. Just again, you want to make sure that you are controlling how much that oil is expanding and is engulfing that turkey, because you want to make sure, obviously, that it never, ever overflows that pot, because that is when disaster can strike. So dropping it in, and then I want to get an idea of like, how is the turkey going to sit once I put it completely in the turkey. So want to turn a little bit. The goal is to not have it resting against the side of the pot, but in some instances, just with the weight of the bird and how it sits, there's really nothing you can do to stop that. So getting it in there, and again, just letting it kind of like hang out for a second. Just want to make sure that any last little bits of moisture that were on the turkey have gotten fried off at this point. You're pretty safe as far as overflow goes. The full bird is submerged in the grease. It is safe to say, like, yep, we're good to go. We can go ahead and deep fry our turkey. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead, reset the contraption, restart that flame. Again, pulling the propane tank away so we are safe there. So now we have fire back on the pot, covering up a little. Again, I never completely cover the lid on there. Again, just want to make sure that the gases, I guess, have room to escape. We want to also maintain that we know what temperature our oil is, and we are ready to go ahead and fry our turkey. And again, I just kind of wanted to show you guys that safety feature there. So that green light was flashing. Went ahead, pushed that red button again. Green light's back solid. We are good to go with the fire still burning. All right, so we deep fried our turkey for about an hour. I usually do mine about 4 minutes for every pound of turkey. Again, we had a 15-pound turkey, 15 times 4, that's 60, so 60 minutes. So 60 minutes has passed. You also know you're pretty good with turkey being done by looking at that thermometer. I didn't get a close up, but the temperature had climbed back to almost at 375 we had it before we added the turkey. So that usually gives you a good idea that whatever you are frying is done when the temperature of the oil reaches back to where it was before you started frying. So the first thing I did there was I turned off the flame. Now I am removing the lid and the thermometer. You can see turkey is still frying there. And as you can also see, some of the oil has evaporated. So the bird is not fully submerged, but it is good to go. So at this point, hour has passed. We are ready to pull our turkey, grabbing the utensil there to make sure we can get the bird out. And again, this is another step where it is not a race. Pull the bird out nice and slow. You want to make sure all that excess oil falls off the bird back into the pot. And oh, that is beautiful. Came out perfect. Definitely completely cooked all the way around. So now we can go ahead, put that turkey into the pan, take it back into the kitchen, and it is ready to get carved up and eaten. All right, so now that our turkey is done, we can go ahead and pull that utensil out of it so that we can get ready to go ahead and carve the turkey so everyone can eat it. So at this point, guys, turkey is done. We are ready to go. It came out beautiful. Hope you liked the video. Hope it was informative. Please leave comments below, like and subscribe for some more content. Gonna be posting just random stuff on this channel, different things I do around the house. But that is the deep fried turkey for Thanksgiving. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll see you next time.